All right, well, welcome to another episode of the Building Belmont podcast. Today we have a very special guest. I think all of our guests are special given what they do for the community. Again, we're about creating connections, capturing stories, and sharing information. And what our guest today does provides all of that. So today we're joined by Phil Boggan. He is the downtown director, and I wanted to introduce exactly what that means, but you do a lot. So I'd rather let you introduce what you do, and then we'll first of all get to know you, and then we'll get into what you do for the community. So Phil, welcome to the Building Belmont podcast.
Thank you very much.
What is the downtown director? What do you do?
What do I do? Well, I jokingly say that I'm the downtown streetwalker. And so my role as the downtown director, basically establishing relationships with our downtown businesses, providing them services to try to strengthen their business activity, or work with property owners to renovate their buildings, to make sure we get good tenants, attract new business activity into downtown, but also put on community events for the community, so that we're bringing the community, making them feel welcome to come into downtown.
Yeah, downtown is a gem. When I want to introduce people to Belmont, sometimes they think what they see on Wilkinson is Belmont. So being involved with some things in Charlotte, I'll ask people, have they been to Belmont? They say, oh yeah, we passed through. And that tells me they've passed through on the highway or they passed through on Wilkinson. So I need to get them to downtown. Once people get to downtown, it's hard to leave.
And you probably, based off their reaction, lets you know if it's kind of scary that, yeah, they just passed through on Wilkerson Boulevard and not come to the heart of downtown Belmont. Yeah.
If someone's been to downtown, they'll have a story, how much they loved it, how much they enjoyed it. So with being the downtown director, being the main streetwalker, honestly, that is the best job. Even just being here at TechWorks and having an office, if I have some time or I have a client here in person, we'll go walk downtown and we'll walk back. So that's an amazing, amazing job that you have. So tell us about you. I want to get back into more of what you do and how you all do it and what you provide for the community. But first and foremost, let's get to know Phil and create some connection with you.
Sure.
How are we so blessed to have you in Belmont? I know you're an Alabama boy, also an Alabama fan, so we just lost half of our listeners.
Uh-oh.
And if we want to lose all of them, are you ready to lose all of them? I'm a Cowboys fan.
Oh, okay. Well, we have other Cowboy, Adrian, our city manager, Cowboys fan too.
Yes.
So
everyone just
people
tuned out.
expect that. So, but yes, no, I am from Alabama, born and raised in Alabama. Always wanted to, have aspirations of being an architect. I love buildings, and particularly old buildings. I loved antiques growing up, and but actually got a scholarship to go to a smaller school in Alabama, University of West Alabama, that had a really good drafting program. So I decided to get a drafting degree within hopes of then going on to get an architect's degree. But instead got a second degree in education so I could be a basketball coach and a football coach. So my first career, I was a public educator and basketball and football coach. Did that for about 3 years and just realized that my life was not complete. I wasn't happy being a school teacher. Found out about Tulane University in New Orleans having their School of Architecture having a Master's of Historic Preservation program, and that really intrigued me. So I applied, got in, moved to New Orleans, and got my Master's in Historic Preservation, and that's really when I became involved with historic preservation, community development, historic preservation as a basis for economic development, and worked for a preservation architect for a little bit before getting on with the state of Louisiana in their Division of Historic Preservation, where I became the state coordinator for the Main Street program. And so basically I was at the state working with communities around Louisiana, that Main Street program, working with them on design, organization, promotion, and economic vitality. That's the four the four committees that make the program work. And so did that for several years before being promoted, became the director of historic preservation, where I oversaw not just the Main Street program, but all other programs within the Division of Historic Preservation, the National Register program, Section 106 environmental review, the state and federal tax credit program. And so I was able to learn more about other elements about historic preservation. and then later became the Deputy Assistant Secretary, where I oversaw not only historic preservation, but arts and archaeology, and did that for, I guess, about 8 years. And that's where I really and was the happiest, because I was able to, around the state, get our arts organizations to collaborate and work with our preservation partners, or vice versa. So I was able to connect the dots and get people and get our organization, our programs, and our community to stop working in silos, but let's all work together for the greater, or for the betterment of culture. And so did that, and later became the appointing authority. And so I was the assistant secretary, worked under a couple of lieutenant governors, and then decided to make a life-changing move. And so resigned and moved to Charlotte to have 4 distinct seasons, and so was looking for just a fun job, just to kind of finish my life. And I'd already had my true professional career, so I was just looking for a fun job, and landed up in downtown Belmont, and beautiful little community, very charming. And they had recently, about 4.5 years ago, when I moved to Charlotte, and Belmont announced their downtown director position. I applied, and here I am. So I promised the city administration that as long as I was having fun, I would stay. And so I think that's why Belmont is such a great community, great volunteer base. Everybody loves Belmont. Everybody loves volunteering, and we're having fun. And that's the difference maker. We're having fun, and I think it shows.
That is awesome. So 4.5 years being here, I want to go back to when I hear people's stories, I love seeing how you just see all these steps, or how it's really putting together a picture. Because early on you had a heart for, a passion for architecture, design, and then you went into teaching and developing, so coaching, so there's some leadership in there, and then there were the arts and the historical preservation. And from the outside looking in, if you were to just look at all those in silos, it's like, man, Phil didn't really know what he wanted to do. There's a lot of different things, but now when I think about what you're doing for Belmont, it seems like it all comes together. I mean, are you accessing all of those experiences and skills as you're building here?
Absolutely. I feel like what I'm doing here, or have done over the last 4 years, is all my background knowledge that I learned from the state, from the different divisions and the different organizations around the state, actually implementing that here, by bringing more arts into the community, and looking at downtown development as true economic development, or arts and culture as economic development. Because what you're doing is you're providing great context or great entertainment or events for the community where they're coming to have fun, but you're also building, more jobs by bringing in artists and bringing it. So, so it's kind of, it's a complete circle for me, basically implementing everything that we've done. Think about Moonlight on Main, one of the biggest things that we've ever done in downtown. Some people probably thought we were crazy, what are y'all doing? And but we, brought in, that was all about arts and culture and economic development. And so over that 3-weekend period in September, October, we brought in over 21,000 people into downtown Belmont. Wow. And to see this moon. Yeah. We had a lot of activities and, around it, but basically that brought a lot of people into Belmont, staying in hotels, eating at our restaurants, shopping at our downtown, retail shops. And so, we projected an economic impact of that 3-weekend event of $1.5 million.
Wow.
So that was huge for a small downtown like Belmont.
That is huge. And to which the Moonlight on Main, you're to blame, from my understanding. So thank you. And I did have heard some stories of when you pitched it, that it was something that was it was an eye-opener. It was challenging to think, wow, this is amazing, because I don't think many know. But from what I've understood is that that moon typically only goes to major cities or metropolitan areas.
Exactly.
How did you get it to Belmont?
Well, and it all started with our volunteers. One of our board members pitched the idea, and we started researching, and It just, you got to have a vision, and then you got to stick to that vision, and we did. So, we had to raise a lot of money, but we communicated with the artist, and, it didn't happen overnight. We actually, that idea first came up, was it like 2018, 2019? And so basically a year and a half later, it started coming to fruition. So,
Wow.
yeah, it did not happen overnight.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely glad it did. It was something really special for the area, and it was just something to experience, to tie it together. I think that was a perfect example of what I had asked, with the arts and the historical preservation, economic development, everything there coming together.
Exactly.
So what were your first impressions coming into downtown Belmont? And I have to ask, because you're an architecture and arts guy, which of the structures or the buildings stood out to you the most, or is your favorite now?
Well, my first visit coming into downtown Belmont, I think the first thing I realized were the flower beds, and that they were all blooming and they were so beautiful. And so thanks to Keep Belmont Beautiful's Flower Power team, which they recently were awarded Main Street champion. So the first thing I noticed was the beautiful flowers. Beautiful, very charming. And then the buildings, of course, the building that I noticed first coming in, because I came in off Catawba Street, was Chronicle Mill. And I thought, oh my God, and it was very boarded up, I guess, basically at that time. And so to see it today, just, puts a big old smile on my face. But no, downtown has a great stock of historic buildings. It is a National Register Historic District. But the Chronicle Mill, and then, great history there. And that will be a life change for downtown. That'll provide a huge influx of people walking into downtown to support, our downtown businesses and our retail shops. So Chronicle Mill was, like I said, the one building that really stood out to me the most.
Wow. So did you see it and feel the vision, or see the potential and the possibility from the beginning?
Actually, I did. I think the first time I saw it, I might have almost crashed. I had to slam on the brakes. But working in Louisiana, Louisiana was one of the highest every year in tax credit, and the tax credit usage, the state and federal tax credit. So we worked with a lot of developers to rehab a lot of buildings, just like Chronicle Mill. And so, I guess being a visionary, being called a visionary, I saw what it could be. And now to be here and to see it coming to fruition is really nice.
Is this what you had imagined, or what you envisioned?
Oh, of course. Yeah,
Oh,
mixed use development. Yeah.
So actually on Chronicle Mill, I think that's an interesting topic. So it's going to be open this summer. As far as retail goes, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I understand there's going to be a retail element to Chronicle Mill as well. Do you know what we can expect there? What kind of tenants are coming there? And does your role also influence the businesses that come into there?
Our role, like I said, we have 4 operating committees under the Main Street program: design, organization, promotion, and economic vitality. Our economic vitality committee does a really good job at really evaluating our existing businesses, and then we study leakage reports, and then we kind of survey other communities of similar size or larger as far as what other types of businesses they have in their downtown that might complement what we currently have. We actually do field trips and make connections with those business owners and say, would you consider ever opening a second location and consider in downtown Belmont? So our Economic Vitality Committee does a really good job at business recruitment and kind of have the finger on the pulse of what type of businesses we want to go after. Okay. In working with Chronicle Mill, it'll be approximately 230 residential units, so they'll have a large built-in infrastructure of people. So I believe the square footage of the commercial space available is going to be around 15,000 square feet. I do not know yet if they have signed any leases, but we are one of our Economic Vitality Committee members Jennifer Church, who she and her husband John were, the savers, bought up and basically saved Chronicle Mill and pulled in developers to redevelop Chronicle Mill. She's our connection to the developers there and working on bringing in. So at this point, I don't know if we've actually have any, leases signed, but we're pitching several ideas.
Okay. Any that you can share?
Generally, we would love to maybe get a restaurant or a brewery, something that would be very convenient for people to live there, to go down and visit.
Okay, I like that. So community element to it.
Exactly.
Okay,
exactly.
Very good. Well, it has been nice to see it develop little by little, and from what it was, and had to get stripped down to now where it's going. So that is beautiful. Well, going into more of your role with downtown and what you do, and also what you provide for the community, are there some frequently asked questions or common questions, or even just some awareness that you want to share with people that may not know who you are, who your team is, what you all do for the community? Are there things that you usually get or that you can address here?
Basically, anything that happens downtown, we somehow have our hands involved, whether it's events, marketing, promotion, business recruitment. I will say, I'll go ahead and address this. The one issue that has constantly, the one issue that constantly surfaces is parking. And but my take on that is that's a good problem to have. If you have a parking problem, you must be doing something right. Mm-hmm. I think there are a lot of communities out there who wish they had a parking problem, and Belmont is growing. We have several buildings that used to have maybe one business, one tenant, or they're now doubling up, and you have two businesses. So we have more and more. So our businesses are growing in downtown. Parking is a premium, and so that is something that the city it's on our radar that we're trying to address. But if people want to come downtown, they're going to find a way. Yeah. They may not be able to park right at the front door, but it's okay to park off a few blocks away because it's such a great walk into downtown. So parking is something that we're working on.
Okay. Well, thank you. Something that we definitely hear often as far as parking goes. But no, it is so true. If you go into like an uptown, you won't go altogether because of parking being a hassle or being a pain. So what I like about downtown Belmont, it is still so small and it's beautiful to walk. Right. Even if we can park close, we'll find ourselves either before or after walking up and down the street anyway. So any prospects on anything that we can expect as far as parking goes, or still just keeping it in mind?
Well, since Belmont is growing, I think every piece of property, every parcel is being looked at for some type of usage. And so I think what we may see in the future, since property is so valuable with some of the developments that are taking place, may be an opportunity for a public-private partnership, the city with a potential developer.
So if there's a developer out there that wants to build a parking structure or a parking lot, then there may be opportunity there. Is that what I'm hearing?
There might be an opportunity there. Okay. Especially if it fits with their development, because they're going to need to provide parking. Yes. And depending on the location, if it's something that the city thinks would benefit the rest of downtown, it just opens the door for those conversations. That's
perfect. Well, again, going back to the reason this platform exists, stories, information, and connection. Right. And we've got to hear a good bit of your story and also get information on what's going on and what you do. And then also connection. So maybe there's an opportunity, someone will hear this and see, okay, there is an opportunity to help to be a part of the solution and not just identify the problems.
Exactly,
right?
Exactly.
So with that, I knew that you have a team behind you as well. We have Cassidy and we have Morgan.
Yes.
So tell me about the function of the team and also what they provide or what they do for the community.
Okay. So when I was first hired with the city, the Main Street program, the downtown director was part of planning and zoning. And so when I got here, started working, the city was going through an efficiency study, looking at streamlining operations, best practices. Are we, operating, efficiently? And so the one thing that came out of that impacted myself and our program, Main Street, we do events to get people into downtown to support our businesses. Parks and Recreation had an events coordinator that was putting on events for the community. So they decided to put us together. So Cassidy Lackey was our events coordinator. So they pulled Cassidy from Parks and Rec, pulled me out from Planning and Zoning, and we created our own department, essentially. We named it Community Development. And so Cassidy, we were working together, and which made sense. It did streamline some of those operations, and then doing more and more, we actually saw that the city saw the value in adding another position, and so we created a community development position.
Thank you to Morgan and Cassidy and the team that you have there and what they're doing as well. So
Yes.
looking ahead now and again sharing information,
Okay.
I understand we have some events that are coming up that you'd like to share.
We do. We have some amazing events that we're actually, due to COVID, the event schedule or the event activity world for the last year or two has been kind of hit or miss. So our Friday Night Live concert series, which we've held some, scaled back some, postponed, canceled. We have our Friday Night Live concert series the last Friday of April. So that's Friday the 29th, I believe. Okay. We have a Friday Night Live concert series be kicking off not only our concert series, but that will also kick off Caribaldi Festival, which is the next day on Saturday, April the 30th. And we have not been able to hold Caribaldi Festival for the last couple of years because of COVID. So we're excited about bringing Caribaldi Festival back. Caribaldi Festival, gosh, I don't know the exact number, but I think it's about 30 years, mid 30, 35 years that Caribaldi Festival has been put on in the community. And primarily in the years past, it was a large, I think more of a 3-4 day, carnival rides, activities. Over the last few years, it had boiled down to just basically a 1 day, some carnival rides, some vendors in the park. And so since we haven't held it the last couple of years, we taken an opportunity to really bring it back as more of an arts and music festival. Okay. And so we have that Friday night, the Friday Night Live concert will kick off not only the concert series, but again, Caribaldi Festival. Then all day Saturday, we'll have arts and music and activities going on in downtown, which will be a lot of fun.
And they'll be downtown and in the park. Will the middle school be involved still?
In the park. The middle school will not be involved,
okay.
But one thing that will be going on, a lot of our bars and restaurants will also be having live music. And so we will have a lot of live music going on in downtown. We'll have a variety of music, something to suit everyone. Whether it's beach music, country music, rock music, we'll have it all in downtown.
Okay. I was going to ask
be
if there'll be
nice.
some rock music. That's awesome.
Yes.
Who's the first person that we're going to look forward to for the April 29th Friday Night Live?
April 29th, that I believe is the Breakfast Club. We actually had them this past year, an 80s band, and they were a really big hit. And so, so we're bringing them back to kick off our Friday Night Live concert series. Our biggest band that we will actually, let me get a plug in for our biggest band, will be a new opportunity for us, is a Red Hot Chili Peppers tribute band. And so they're supposedly really big, really good, and I think the timing for that is good because the actual Red Hot Chili Peppers will be playing in Charlotte this year. So maybe that'll be good for us and bring a lot of people into town.
Awesome. So do you pick the music for the Friday Night Lives, or is there another committee involved for that?
No, we do. Well, our promotions committee, like I said, I've mentioned we have 4 operating committees. Our promotions committee works on activities and promoting downtown. They work with us, but we have a booking agent that we work with, East Coast Entertainment, and they provide us kind of the latest, the hottest bands, and that we can try to, if we can afford them.
And so as you're doing your downtown walking, you're just listening for what people are listening to, or you're stopping and grabbing people and saying, hey, who'd you like to hear this summer? And someone's like, Red Hot Chili Peppers, and you say, got it, I'll make that happen.
Well, actually, we rely on the booking agent. He actually gives us a lot of good recommendations on some of the bands. And over the last couple of years, some of the bands that we've brought in, were his recommendation, and they've been very popular.
Okay. So with Garibaldi Festival, I wanted to actually touch on this since you mentioned that. I wasn't aware until within the last year that Garibaldi actually has some significance as far as the name. So can you share a little bit of history on
I'll
that?
share a little bit about what I know.
Okay.
I've heard varying stories, and so
Just pick your favorite one.
Pick my favorite one. So you might need to do a podcast with the Historical Society
Okay.
and get to the root of the real story. I've been here for 4.5 years, and believe it or not, I'll tell this story real quick. One of my first times, this is my first or second time coming into Belmont. No, I believe it was my very first time. We were picking strawberries and decided, oh, well, we'd heard Belmont's a cute little downtown, so we decided to go have lunch in downtown Belmont. It was the day of Caribaldi Festival. So we were like, oh, cute little downtown. Oh, the street's blocked off. They're having a festival. And so we were walking around, enjoyed the festival, but we kept asking, oh, well, what's a Garibaldi? What is a Garibaldi? And we left that day not ever finding out what a Garibaldi was. And then so fast forward, then started working, for the city of Belmont. And of course, I had to find out what is a Garibaldi. And then so what I was told that Belmont was originally a water stop on the rail line, and so that was originally the first name of the town, or the little water stop. And then there was somebody associated with that whose last name was also Garibaldi. So again, I've heard multiple stories.
Okay.
And then Belmont Abbey and the monks. Garibaldi was also the name of someone over in Italy that wasn't very popular, and so because of that, they decided they wanted to change the name from Garibaldi to something else. And then they named it Belmont because I believe Belmont is beautiful mountain, and I think you could see Crowler's Mountain off of from the distance. And so now that's kind of some things that I've heard. So
Okay.
But so we're really, because of even I think some locals maybe not really sure what is Garibaldi. So along with the Garibaldi Festival, not only changing it to arts and music, but we will try to introduce some other types of historical context around that. Hopefully in working with, like I just mentioned, the Belmont Historical Society. That same day, they'll be holding their Living History Days. And so we don't want to lose the history of Garibaldi. And so we want to try to implement that some way in the festival to educate people on what Garibaldi actually is.
Thank you. Thank you for history as you understood it. So
Yeah.
am I hearing this correct that Belmont Abbey, my wife and I are actually just having this conversation yesterday, Belmont Abbey College exists, from what I had understood, it existed I think since 1876, and Belmont or Garibaldi I believe was 1895?
And
so-
established, 1895.
So Belmont Abbey College was named Belmont Abbey College already.
Right.
And so I assume then when they renamed the town, they followed suit with Belmont Abbey?
I assume so.
Okay, interesting. We were just talking about that, like which one came first,
Yeah.
right? And so I said, I don't think they called it Garibaldi Abbey College. So, well, I kudos to those that renamed it. With all due respect to the original name, I think
Right.
Belmont is a beautiful name, and it has a great brand built around it now. And
It does.
that's in large part thanks to you and your team and the impact that you've brought, even just through over the last 4.5 years that you've been here. So thank you for all that you do, all that your team does. Before I let you go, anything else that you want to share?
No, I think this is a very exciting time in downtown Belmont. The growth, we have a lot of people from Charlotte and the region coming to check out Belmont. And no, it's great to see that. It was great to be part of this exciting movement.
Yes. Well, thank you for what you do to be involved again. And if you all see Phil in the streets as he's doing his downtown walks, I assume you're approachable.
Oh, I hope so.
Big guy, but very approachable, very kind. So have a conversation with Phil. And again, with the way Belmont is built, there's something about honoring the legacy or honoring what was while also thinking about what can be. And I think that Belmont has struck such a balance in that. And now knowing your background with historical preservation and architecture and also business development, I see all of that represented in you. So again, thank you for what you do.
You're welcome.
And thank you all for joining us. New episodes every Monday morning. And again, if you see Phil out in the community, have a conversation.
I would welcome a conversation. And I forgot to say this one thing. Belmont is a great downtown because it is a volunteer-driven program that we run. And so if you want to get involved, we're all the time, open arms, welcoming people to get involved. There's something for everyone to do. You don't have to be a professional in design or promotions or economic vitality or organization. We have something for everyone. So if you want to get involved and be part of this exciting movement, you can check out the Downtown Belmont Development Association, our website, downtownbelmont.org. There's some information there. We actually have meetups every third Thursday at noon and 6 p.m. as a new volunteer meetup at the Everyday Market in downtown Belmont. So if you want to get involved and be part of this great movement, check us out.
You can find the link to check that out in the notes, whether you're watching on YouTube or you're following on your podcast platform. I'll drop the link so people can get involved. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you again for joining us. I'm your host, Keanu Trujillo with the Building Belmont podcast. We'll see you next Monday.